Today we're going to work on the rules and steps for multiplying mixed numbers. Now, in the past we've worked on multiplying fractions together. Fractions with whole numbers, which we changed to a fraction, and then fractions with fractions. We've gone through different steps where we multiply straight across and reduce. We've gone through other options where we've tried to cross-reduce or cross-cancel first, diagonally, and then multiply across and reduce if possible. Today what we're going to do is we're going to work on mixed numbers. And our steps for multiplying mixed numbers are, first of all, we've got to convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction. A lot of students tend to see this without knowing the rules and start multiplying the whole numbers together, multiplying the numerators together, multiplying the denominators together, and that just doesn't work. What we want to do is we want to go through the steps for taking a mixed number and turning it into an improper fraction. And here's what we do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the denominator and we're going to multiply it with the whole number. So in my example here, I've got 3 2/7. I'm going to take the denominator of 7 and multiply it with the whole number of 3 to get 21. After I do that, I'm going to add the numerator to that. So 21 plus 2 is 23. And then I'm going to keep the denominator. So 3 2/7 becomes the improper fraction of 23/7. Now I'm going to apply that to our first example here. I have 2.5 and 3 2/3. By rule, kind of what I like to do is do a quick estimate in my head so I have an idea of about what we should get. If you think about 2.5, by rules for rounding, that would probably be around 3. 3 2/3, that may bump up to 4. So I know my answer should be around that 10 to 12 range when I'm multiplying at the end. So the first thing I want to do is I want to convert. So I take 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and I leave it over the denominator of 2. So 2 in 1/2 becomes 5/2. Times 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 2 is 11, and I have the improper fraction of 11/3. Now, I want to go back to my rules for fractions. I want to cross-cancel, multiply across, and simplify. Or if I can't cross-cancel, I just need to go straight across and multiply. I don't see anything with 3 and 5 and 2 and 11 that have common factors, so I have to go straight across here. So 11 times 5 is 55. 3 times 2 is 6. Now my last step is I have to simplify. I cannot leave my final answer as an improper fraction. So as we've done in the past with adding and subtracting fractions, I've got to convert any improper fraction back into a mixed number by dividing. So I take 55 divided by 6, and I divide. 6 goes into 55 9 times. 9 times 6 is 54. I've got 1 left over. So my final answer as I read it going around the clock is 9 1/6. 9 1/6. Here's my next example. 5 1/4, 4 3/7. If I do a quick estimate, 5 1/4 is closer to 5. 4 3/7 is closer to 4. 5 times 4 is 20. I know my answer should be right around that 20 mark. Now I need to convert it into an improper fraction first. I take 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21, and I put it over the original denominator of 4. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 31, and I put it over the original denominator of 7. Now, here's a situation where I've got some large numbers, 21 and 31. Multiplying 21 and 31 is going to take some time. I've got to come out to the side and do it. So in my case, I'm definitely going to see, are there common factors where I can make these numbers smaller to work with? And in this case, 4 and 31 don't have anything in common, but 7 and 21 do. I can divide 7 and 21 both by 7. So 7 divided by 7 becomes a 1. 21 divided by 7 becomes a 3. Now I've got a little bit smaller numbers to work with where I can do more mental math. 31 times 3 going across would be 93. 4 times 1 would be 4. So I get an improper fraction of 93 over 4. Last thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and convert this back into a mixed number by dividing. 93 divided by 4. 4 goes into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8 with 1 left over. Bring down my 13. 4 goes into 13 3 times. 4 times 3 is 12. And I'm left with 1 left over. So my answer is 23 and 1/4. 23 and 1/4 is my final answer here. The last problem. 8 and 1/5, 6 and 1/4. 8 and 1/5 is closer to 8. 6 and 1/4 is closer to 6. 8 times 6 is around 48, so I know my answer should be right around that 48 mark. Convert to a improper fraction by taking 8 times 5 is 40, plus 1 is 41, over the original denominator of 5, times 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25, over the original denominator of 4. Now, once again, like the last problem, working with 41 and 25 are bigger numbers. So I'm looking for any way I can make these numbers smaller before I multiply. In this case, I look at 41 and 4, and 5 and 25, and I can see that 5 and 25 allows me to have a common factor of 5, so I'm going to divide both of those by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Now I've got smaller numbers to work with. So I take 41 times 5, and I get 205. I take 4 times 1, and I get 4. Now I'm down to my last step where I simplify. I've got to divide 205 divided by 4. 4 cannot go into 2, but it goes into 20 exactly 5 times with nothing left over. And I bring down my 5. 4 goes into 5 1 time with 1 left over. So my final answer is 51 and 1/4. You know, to recap, the only steps that we have added from multiplying fractions with whole numbers or fractions with fractions is the very first step where we must take all mixed numbers and convert them into improper fractions first.